Okay, today we're going to look at checkmating with king, knight and bishop against king. The only element of theoretical knowledge you need to have before you start is knowing that you will checkmate the king in a corner that is of the same color as your bishop. So if you have a bishop on white squares, you need to checkmate him in a corner with a white square. Otherwise, like here, you want to get him into either of these two corners. There are other checkmating positions away from the corners, but these mating positions occur only if the lone king makes a mistake. So don't rely on mistakes. So you're going to have to drive him into a corner with a dark square because we have a dark bishop. So here the computer recommends this. I think playing knight f6 is probably better in my opinion. So let's assume that the opponent knows that you have to run into a corner that's the opposite color as the bishop, and he goes to c8. Here, you just play the king on c6, of course, to stop him from going into b7, and of course, controlling the b8 square with the bishop is useful because it stops him from running that way. Then you have king d8, knight d5. Now this knight is working on stopping him from escaping here, because if you let him escape here, then he's got plenty of square he can go to. The king stubbornly go back towards c8, always trying to go back in this corner, but this time we have the check. So now the knight is on that white square. And when the king goes to d8, you can play king to d6. So now we've achieved something. We've stopped the king from running back towards the corner here. So king e8, king e6. Of course, you don't want him to escape on f7. And bishop, king to d8, and then we move the bishop here. We have to waste the tempo, and when he goes to e8, we're going to play king e7. So first the bishop's role was to stop him from going to b8, then the knight came in, stopped him from going on c8, then the bishop comes in, stops him from going on d8. So it's all taking shape. The king goes to f8, and now we have the knight stopping him from going to g7, and so now he's going to go back to e8, and then the same pattern as we had when the knight checked on e7 when he was on c8. We're going to reproduce the same pattern by checking on g7. The king moves to f8, and we move to f6. It's pretty much the very same thing that we've been doing on this c8 square. We're doing it on the e8 square to further push him to the right. The king goes to here, and now we position, it's very important to position our king on this square. Stops him from escaping the corner on h7. And now he's got two ways. He can go to f8 or to h8. F8 he would get checked by the bishop. So going back in the corner there, we still position our piece to stop him from going here. The king goes to g8. Then you just waste the tempo. He goes back into the corner, and then you can see the trap is set because the role of the knight, as we did on these white squares, it's going to be to attack that square. The bishop in the meantime is of course preventing him from escaping this way, but really the true role of the bishop will be to deliver checkmate. So here it's quite simple. When he goes to g8, you check on h6, the king goes into the corner, and then you deliver mate on f6. It's important to understand the technique, especially when the knight checks, stopping him from going into white squares, and the knight checks here, stopping him going on that white square. And eventually, the knight remaneuvers itself and to contribute to the checkmate. So these are the things you need to know. Replay the video as many times as you need so that you can really get it. But there's no ways to checkmate with king, knight, and bishop if the three pieces do not cooperate perfectly with each other.